Juno had said it in frustration, never expecting the creature to understand. But Miri, the small, luminescent feline with 6 legs and crystalline whiskers, had taken it as a solemn vow. The first time Miri appeared at the cargo bay of the Wanderer's Hope, Juno had shooed her away with a broom. The second time, he'd sealed the airlocks. The third time, he'd relocated his ship to a different docking platform entirely. But on the 4th morning, when Juno emerged from his quarters with dark circles under his eyes and a thermos of synthetic coffee, there she was again curled up on his pilot's chair, purring with a sound like distant thunder. "How?" Juno demanded, setting his coffee down harder than intended. "How do you keep finding me?" Miri stretched, her opalescent fur rippling with colors that didn't exist in any human spectrum. She blinked her 3 eyes at him, 2 amber, 1 silver, and chirped something that the universal translator rendered as promise. Juno groaned. He'd been on Tavros Station for 3 weeks, trying to negotiate a supply contract with the Zeltheran Consortium. The last thing he needed was a persistent alien stray complicating his already complicated life. Humans had only been part of the galactic community for 2 decades, and they still weren't taken seriously. One trader showing up to negotiations with a glowing cat would only reinforce the stereotype that Earth's children were too sentimental for real business. "Listen," Juno said, crouching down to Miri's level. "I didn't mean it. It was just something humans say when they're annoyed." Empty words. Miri's silver eye focused on him with unnerving intensity. The translator crackled. "Humans ... lie?" The weight of that question hit Juno like a meteor strike. In the 20 years since first contact, humanity had built its reputation on one thing: their word. While other species negotiated with loopholes and conditional clauses, humans had introduced the concept of the handshake deal. It had made them invaluable as mediators, as contractors, as friends. It was the only reason someone like Juno, a nobody from nobody Earth, could make a living in the stars. "No," Juno admitted, defeated, "humans don't lie." "Not about promises," Miri's purr intensified. That's how Juno found himself explaining to Coordinator Vexthal why his cargo manifest now included 1 Xenophlene passenger alongside the antimatter cores and medical supplies. "This is irregular," Vexthal observed, his chitinous face betraying no emotion. The Zeltheran resembled a praying mantis crossed with a philosopher, and his species had been navigating space for 3 millennia. "Humans are peculiar indeed. We keep our promises," Juno said simply, "all of them. Even the stupid ones." Something flickered in Vexthal's compound eyes, perhaps respect, perhaps amusement. "The contract is yours, human Juno, along with a bonus for entertainment value." The galaxy, Juno discovered, was vast beyond measure, but surprisingly small in the ways that mattered. Miri proved to be an excellent co-pilot, her instincts alerting him to spatial anomalies his sensors missed. Her presence became a conversation starter at every port. Other traders began seeking him out specifically, partly for the novelty, but mostly because a human who'd taken alien cat across the galaxy just because he'd said he would was someone you could trust with your cargo, your contracts, your secrets. They visited the crystal nebulas of Andromeda, where Miri chased light moths through prismatic clouds. They stopped at the floating markets of Kepler 442, where she sampled exotic foods and rejected 90% of them with theatrical disgust. They witnessed the blooming of the world trees on Verdania Prime, where Miri sat in transfixed silence for 6 hours, her fur cycling through every color of wonder. Juno documented everything. Sending photos back to Earth, his younger sister replied, "You promised a cat a galaxy tour and actually followed through? That's the most human thing ever." She was right, Juno realized. It was absurdly human. Not because humans were special or superior, they weren't, not really. They were weaker than the Krather warriors, less intelligent than the Cerebral Collective, shorter-lived than the Eternal Sentinels. But humanity had grown up on a world where trust was a survival mechanism, where a promise made was a debt owed, where even a casual word could become a sacred bond. Other species had evolved in different circumstances. They had telepathy, hive minds, perfectly logical communication. They didn't need the primitive adhesive of verbal contracts, but humans did. And in the vast, cold cosmos, that primitive adhesive had become their greatest export. 6 months into their journey, as Juno prepared to jump to the Outer Rim territories, Miri climbed onto his lap, something she rarely did. Her translator was silent, but her 3 eyes met his with unmistakable meaning. "You want to go home," Juno said. "Not a question," Miri chirped. "Home, family, thank you." Juno changed course for Tavros Station. When they arrived, Miri's family was waiting, a whole colony of luminescent felines who greeted her with a chorus of thunder purrs. An elder approached Juno, her fur silver with age. "The young one has learned much," the translator conveyed. "She chose you for a reason. Humans understand the weight of small words. This is rare. This is precious." Juno knelt down as Miri pressed her head against his palm one final time. "Thank you for holding me to my promise," he whispered. As the wanderer's hope pulled away from the station, Juno's communicator chimed with a contract offer, this time from the Miri's colony. They needed someone to transport their young across the galaxy, teaching them about the universe beyond their world. Someone trustworthy. Someone who understood that even the smallest promise could become the greatest journey. Juno smiled and accepted. After all, he was human, and humans kept their word.